Thank you, Chairman Rush, and let me welcome again the Secretary. It's so great to see you here before our committee, Madam Secretary. We have so many issues that we can work on within the department. I'm just thinking of clean energy deployment, cybersecurity, overseeing our nation's nuclear weapons stockpile, cleaning up the legacy sites where those weapons were produced, so many things. But I wanted to begin by addressing, as many of my colleagues have, the recent Colonial Pipeline cyber attack that shut down a critical piece of our nation's energy infrastructure and led to both gasoline and jet fuel shortages along the East Coast. And the committee has a longstanding history of bipartisan work, I'm sure you're aware of that, on the energy cybersecurity issue, including through the pipeline cybersecurity legislation that was already mentioned, that was reintroduced last week by Ranking Member Upton and Chairman Rush. So last Congress, the subcommittee held a hearing on pipeline safety and security, and I spoke about my concern that the Transportation Security Administration's pipeline security program lacks the resources and expertise to protect our country from attacks like the one we saw with the Colonial Pipeline. And this incident shows we have to do more to protect our nation's energy infrastructure. Fortunately, the electric sector has a rigorous framework for mandatory reliability standards developed by the North American Energy Reliability Corporation and enforced by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, but no similar rigorous programs exist for pipelines, just a set of voluntary guidelines overseen by TSA. And this is a big gap, and I believe it's time we consider mandatory enforceable reliability standards for our nation's pipeline network. So we have to ensure our nation's energy infrastructure is not just secure, but reliable and resilient. And that requires robust investments. And also, as you know, President Biden's American Jobs Plan does just that. It prioritizes funding for the clean energy infrastructure we need to tackle the climate crisis and creates good paying jobs right here in the US. Along with Chairman Rush and Tonko, I introduced the Clean Future Act earlier this Congress. We've had several hearings on this in both the Energy and the Environment and Climate Change subcommittees. And the Clean Future Act would achieve net zero greenhouse gas pollution, combat the climate crisis, put Americans back to work, and rebuild our economy. And the Clean Future Act and the American Jobs Plan share similar goals and policies. Both plans make substantial investments in transportation electrification, including the deployment of electric vehicles, charging stations, and zero-emission school buses. They both invest billions of dollars in clean energy deployment, upgrading the nation's grid, and making homes and buildings more energy efficient. And the rest of the world, particularly China, is already making major investments in clean technology and jobs that could and should be created right here at home. We can't watch from the sidelines as other nations surpass us. We must invest in our workers and the growth of our clean energy economy. After 4 years of the Trump administration flouting the law by refusing to update and revise efficiency standards for appliances, this is another issue that we were very concerned about. I know you have a lot of work to do. I questioned your predecessor, Secretaries Perry and Breett, several times about the department pushing out anti-efficiency rulemaking, such as the rollback of the LED light bulb standards and ignoring scores of appliance efficiency upgrades mandated by law. That's a program that saves a lot of money and helps reduce consumer consumptions. And we have to get this back on track. And we want to help you with these appliance standards as well. I also wanted to mention the nuclear security mission. I've always believed in the principle of civilian, not military control over our nation's nuclear weapons. The National Nuclear Security Administration is a critical part of DOE's mission. It's too important to be left to its own devices, and that's obviously a major issue. So the last thing I wanted to say is that the committee has conducted years of oversight on the department's environmental management program, which cleans up the legacy waste sites where nuclear weapons were developed. And taxpayers spend billions of dollars every year on this program, but the department's environmental liabilities continue to grow. And I think that a more cohesive and consistent management of this program is critical to speeding up cleanup at these sites. So again, we have a long history of bipartisan cooperation on both the NNSA governance, environmental management, and I look forward to working with the department and my colleagues on this committee on critical issues. It's really good to see you. I listened to your to what you said yesterday at the Progressive Caucus. It was very impressive, and of course we know the Michiganders on this committee have been speaking highly of you on both sides of the aisle for a long time. So it's nice to see you in this new position. Thank you. And I yield back, Mr. Chairman.